Hi everybody, I'm Zach from Gertens, and today we're going to be talking about holiday plants. Now we have the Norfolk Island pine, we have the Thanksgiving or the holiday cactus here, we have your classic cyclamen, of course we have your classic red poinsettia, we have your lemon cypress, we have another poinsettia that's quite distinct and unique, we have a traditional Christmas cactus, and then we have your kalanchoe here. And today we're going to be talking about all of them in depth. Take a look at these two different plants here. Now this one has more of a upright, more of a scalloped leaf or pad, if you will, to it. And this one here has more of a serrated or more of a sharper leaf to it. And another difference that you'll see is this one is in full bloom and this one has no blooms. Now what you might be wondering where I'm going with this is this one here is a traditional Christmas cactus, a Schlumbergera bucklei, to be scientific, I guess. This one here is more of a Thanksgiving cactus. Now, aside from the two indicators, you can also look at the flower. The flower between two different plants is different. This one is more of an upright flower versus this one is more of a dappled flower, a flower that likes to hang down a little bit more. Now, the reason that you don't see this plant in stores often as much anymore is because it's rare, really. It's not seen because it's harder to grow. But just for the sake of our video here today, I thought that it would be interesting to bring in my plant that I've propagated for you all to see the differences between the two. Much like all the plants on the table here today, they're very simple. They do have the name cactus in them, but they are tropical. They are actually from the rainforest of Brazil. And for these, you're going to want to make sure that they dry out about halfway down in the soil in between each watering. Make sure you're putting them in bright indirect light, preferably an eastern or western facing window. Alrighty, so now we have a Norfolk Island pine. Norfolk Island pines really are a classic houseplant. You'll see them a lot during this time of the year. Now, this is actually a great solution if you're looking for a Christmas tree that doesn't take up an entire room, really. It is, as you can see, a really nice Christmas tree-like plant. Make sure that this plant isn't near any cold drafts or heat sources. Be sure to also be watering this plant when it's dry to the touch. Make sure that you have it in an eastern or western facing window where it gets bright indirect light. Remove this decorative sleeve to make sure that all the water that comes out the drainage holes of this plant can drain away. Another thing about the Norfolk pine is that they are very, very simple in the sense that I was able to grow one from a seed this last year. And I actually had one in my dorm room up at college too, so they're very resilient plants. Now this one here is by far one of the most classic houseplants when you think of Christmas or the holidays. Now a lot of people actually think that the leaves here are the flowers, but they're actually not. The flowers are these little center knobs here, and the red leaves here are bracts. It is a very easy houseplant to take care of. Put it in bright indirect light, preferably an eastern or western facing window, because this plant does like to dry out in between waterings a fair amount. Now this is the standard red that you'll often see, but if you're looking for something a little bit different, one of my favorites is this variety here. I actually bought one of these for my family last year and it lasted quite a long time. And what I like about it is it has these little splashes of white variegation in the leaves. That's truly unique. And as you can see behind me, we have many different colors. Moving on to the kalanchoe. Now this one is very similar to the Christmas or the holiday cactus in the sense that it's a succulent. Just take a look at these leaves here. They're very nice and thick and they actually hold a lot of moisture. And being that it has a decorative pot, you're going to want to make sure to remove it when you water it and put it somewhere where it can drain. As for light, put this plant in an eastern or western facing window. If you do have to put it in a southern window, I'd put it at least a few feet back so it's not getting direct sun. There are multiple different colors that this plant has, but we also have them in orange, red, and sometimes pink. Here's another fun one. This one here is called a lemon cypress. Much like all the other ones we've talked about, this one is a tropical as well. Now they call it lemon cypress, aside from being this really nice vibrant green. If you actually take your finger here and rub up against the needles just a little bit and sniff it, it actually smells like lemons. Now this one here can also be decorated like the Norfolk Island pine for Christmas. And if you're looking for a smaller option, we do have a little tiny 2-inch. For these, watering them when they're about halfway dry, Make sure to have them in bright indirect light, preferably an eastern or western facing window. Make sure that they're away from cold drafts or heat vents. They're a fairly simple plant that can be enjoyed for many seasons to come. Cyclamen are a plant from the southern regions of Europe, specifically southern Italy. When I was over in Rome, I saw these a lot in landscape beds, and they were actually grown as a perennial. But here in Minnesota, they work great as a tabletop plant, especially around the holidays. They bloom for months on end. They're just gorgeous. If you take a closer look there, you can actually see some flower buds forming. Stop into Gerton's anytime to pick yours for the holiday season.